everybody, welcome to Safari. We missed you. I missed you. The animals miss you. Your teachers miss you. Well, what are we going to do today? Today we're going to learn about reptiles. What about reptiles? We're going to learn about the habitat, their nutrition. That's not a reptile, by the way. Get down. Nutrition and adaptations. Okay, so the first reptile we're going to talk about is Brasilia. You remember her? Say hi, Brasilia. Hi. Okay, right now, Brasilia is full grown. She is about 3.5 feet long, mostly tail, and she's hungry. What is she going to eat? Well, we'll let you know as soon as we tell you where she's from. She is from South America, and specifically, Brazil. She's from Brazil, and we named her after the capital of Brazil, called Brasilia. All right, so while she eats, what is she going to eat? Well, she's a herbivore, so that means she's probably going to eat her lettuce. So she's going to eat her lettuce, and while she's eating her lettuce, we'll talk about some of her adaptations. Okay. Have some. Here we go. Have some. There you go. Okay, so Brasilia is covered by scales. Scales are her outer body covering. They are overlapping pieces of protein, okay? And they are overlapping why? Why are her scales overlapping? Anybody have any idea? Okay, if you look at her, her scales are overlapping. Well, she lives outside, all right, where it's very hot and she's exposed to the sun all the time. And to prevent her from drying out, her scales have to overlap so there's a nice tight seal on her. And what she's doing right now, she is shedding some of her outer body covering. There it is. Okay, do you want it? Okay, I'll save it for you. Anyhow, you could see how they're overlapping. And is that a good thing when an organism sheds? Most likely, because it means they're growing. Now, what else about Brasilia? She's covered in scales. She has 3 eyes. Did you know that? Yep. She has 1, 2, and her 3rd eye is right up here, people. Do you see it? Right there. Now, her eye doesn't detect anything visual, but it does detect light. And why does she need to detect light? Well, if she wants to lay eggs, she's got to have 12 hours of sunlight. That means that her eggs will most likely survive. If there's not 12 hours, she won't lay them. Has she ever laid eggs? Once. Were they fertile? Which means did they have an embryo in them? No, because there was no male in her tank with her. So she just laid an egg just like a chicken would lay an egg. Okay, now she has, one thing, she smells with her tongue. Okay, what do you do with your tongue? You taste with your tongue, right? Well, she smells with her tongue, and her tongue is forked. Right? So she's able to smell left with her fork and right with her right fork. So she has a tongue that she smells with. Now, what her tongue does, it gathers the scent molecules in the air, brings them into an organ in her mouth called the Jacobson's organ, and that interprets the smell, and then it brings it to her brain, and she knows what she's eating. Come on. Want to eat something? There you go. There you go. Good job. Do you see any teeth in her? No, she doesn't have teeth, but she does have tiny little tacks. What do those tacks do? They help her hold her food. Oh, you want to eat by yourself? Go ahead. Are you bored with lettuce? Later we'll have grapes. I know you like grapes. Here, come on, have some more. Have some more. You want to eat yourself? Okay. Her tongue is sticky. Yep, that also helps hold her food. Now, as we're looking at her head, let's take a look at this spot right here. What's that? If you said the ear, you're right. It leads right, if you look, you can see right into where her brain would be. What's this over here? This is her earring. Doesn't that make her look pretty? Yes, it does. Well, this is her decorative scale. I'm sorry. Okay? Now, what's this down here? I'm sorry to bother you while you're eating. I know that's annoying, but this is called her dewlap. This is a part of her that aids in communication. When the dewlap is down and she gets up on all fours and she bobs her head, that means that she's angry. But she's not angry right now. Okay, we'll talk about you in a second. Okay, come on, continue eating. Continue. Come on. There you go. Good job. All right, now if she was in the wild, she'd be sitting up in a tree and she would be eating the leaves, maybe some fruits from the tree. Now, what else about her? Well, you see all these things right here? It may look like they're hard and sharp and scary, but they're not. They're very soft. Okay? These are her just protective scales. This is her crest. And like I said, when she gets up on all fours, all right, and she puffs out, she looks very, very aggressive and scary. All right, what else does she have? Well, she has claws. Why does she need claws? Well, she climbs a tree. And if you were climbing a tree, you'd need claws too. Well, what are you doing? You looking for something else? I know you're bored. You're bored with the same old meal. Here. Come on. There you go. There you go. All right, let's take a look at her tail. Her body is mostly tail, people. And the neat thing about most reptiles' tails is that if it does detach, okay, it can regrow. It won't regrow as beautiful as it is right now, but it will regrow. Why does she need a tail? Tail helps her balance herself when she climbs. Now, she also stores food in her tail. So, if she loses her tail and there's no other food around, she might starve to death. Okay, now, what else do I want to show you? I want to show you that on her, right, fourth long claw, it's really long. Why would she need it to be really long? See how it's really long? She uses this to wrap around the branch, completely around the branch. Sorry to bother you again. Okay, completely around the branch so that she's able to hold on to herself, hold on to the tree when she's up in the tree. Okay, so that's why she has different lengths of fingers or toes. Okay, you could also see that she is shedding right here. Okay, all right. Sorry to bother you again. Go ahead, Brasilia. Keep eating. Keep eating. So the word for regrowing the tail is regenerate. Regenerate means to regrow a lost body part. Get down. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so we added another fruit to Brasilia's lunch. Yep, it's cantaloupe. She likes it. It's over here. Okay, there we go. And she's a healthy girl. I forgot to tell you that in addition to her tail being able to regenerate, her tail also acts as a defense organism. It's a whip. So she'll just turn her body and whip her tail, and it does hurt. So that's how they'll defend each other, all right? Defend themselves from other iguanas and predators, right, in the wild. Okay, so I'm gonna move Brasilia, and we're gonna talk about another reptile. Come on. Come on. You could eat it someplace else. There you go. There you go. All right. There you go. So, next guest, Onyx. He's also a reptile characterized by scaly skin, lays eggs. Well, he wouldn't because he's a male. And he also has lungs and he's able to breathe air. Okay? Now, like I said, scales are overlapping pieces of protein, and they enable the organism to do what? Do you remember? That's right. Prevent them from drying out in the atmosphere. Where is onyx from? Well, onyx is from, or bearded dragons are from Australia. Do you see yourself over here? This is where you came from. That's right. Okay? Now, what are some cool adaptations of onyx? Well, what is an adaptation? Well, that's something that's going to help him survive in the wild. Well, if you remember, Brasilia, she had a tail that helped her climb for balance. She also had claws. She had those 3 eyes, remember that? Okay, she had scales. She had She had a crest, right? Those pointy scales to make her look fierce. Onyx, his adaptations are similar because he's a reptile. He has a tail that can detach. Look at that beautiful tail. His tail can detach and it can regrow. Now, why would it detach? It doesn't just detach. Okay, it would detach if a predator, okay, let me get a predator. Okay, a predator, all right, came down and grabbed him by his tail. All right, he would detach it. What would happen is the muscles would squeeze, all right, and the bones would cause the tail to sever. Right, and the predator would grab the tail and Onyx would run off. The tail would regenerate. It wouldn't be as long and luxurious as it once was, but it would regenerate and would do its job. Now, Onyx also has claws because he's a climber. I wanted to mention that he is diurnal. So these are some of the insects that Brasilia loves to eat. Delicious. But before we feed her, I want to show you what happened with these insects. These are cockroaches, not the bad cockroaches. These are good cockroaches. They're from Africa. They're called dubia cockroaches, and they don't carry disease like the bad cockroaches, the German cockroaches. Right? This one just recently molted. What does molting mean? Well, molting means that you shed your exoskeleton. Right? Exoskeleton is your skeleton on the outside. Our skeleton is on the inside. We have an endoskeleton. This one shed its exoskeleton. Look, it's white. Yes, and it's white until it becomes dark in about 30 minutes. Remember, if you're white out in this world, right, on a dark background, right, you're most likely to get eaten. So this is about 30 minutes, right, before it gets dark like the rest of the dubia cockroaches. Okay, now we'll go and feed her. Okay. Oh, one last thing. All right, cockroaches, some cockroaches have wings, right? You see the wings on that cockroach right there? Right, that's the male, right? This is the female, okay? Right, so here's the male, this is the female. Ready, Brasilia? Onyx, sorry. Okay, ready? Okay, I know. Let's get in close so we can hear the crunching of the exoskeleton. Here you go. Now these have to move. If they don't move, you don't eat your picture. If they don't move, right, they're probably not going to get eaten. There you go. Come on. She's not going to go after anything that is closer. Do you hear the exoskeleton crunching? He's not going to waste his time on anything that's dead. He wants something living. Ready? You still hungry? Uh-huh. Yeah, you want to eat that. How about this one? What? Ooh. Ooh. Another one? Where'd it go? There it goes. Go get it. Go get it. There it is. See, he's not eating because it's not moving. Come on. Now, does Onyx have teeth? Nope. Onyx has little tacks. Onyx has a forked tongue, but not teeth. They have strong jaws. Reptiles have strong jaws. Now, let's take a look at Onyx. Why do they call him the bearded dragon? Because when he gets mad, right, his beard gets very inflated, dark, and he gets up on all fours. His scales, his protruding scales stick out, and he looks fierce. I don't want to mess with that bearded dragon. Neither does another bearded dragon. Okay, so what have we learned so far? All right, Onyx is diurnal. He's an omnivore. He's covered with scales. He eats, and his favorite flesh is insects. Okay, he's from Australia. He has a tail that's able to regenerate. How long do they live? Well, in captivity, bearded dragons will live 15 years. Out in the wild, well, it's rough out there. So he'll live maybe 4 years, 5 years, right? Why? Well, because predators will eat him. He'll have overcome a lot of obstacles out in the wild. Okay, what will eat him? Well, a bird of prey, a larger lizard, a snake. Okay, we'll set up a food chain later to show you the flow of energy out in the wild. But for now, let's just finish up with Onyx. He's got these structures right here. Can you figure out what those are? That's right. Those are his ears. They lead right to his brain. He also smells with his tongue. And you can see that he takes in air through his nostrils right there. Sorry about that. Okay. If you have any other questions about Onyx, you can email me, send me a note, and we'll discuss it in our next episode. But for now, right, that's enough about Onyx. Okay. Say goodbye. Okay. Oh, so the last reptile that we're going to talk about is the ball python. I just don't know where I put it. Wait a minute. Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry. There we go. Okay, there we go. Ah, there you are. All right, this is Lando, our ball python. Any idea why he's called a ball python? That's right, because he wraps himself into a tiny little ball. They're awesome pets. They are from Africa. So guess what? Yep, that's right. They like it nice and warm. Okay. They, at full grown, okay, they are 3.5 feet long. So Lando is full grown. And yes, we're going to feed Lando today. Lando is a carnivore, which means that Lando is only going to eat flesh. Now, before we feed Lando, we want to talk about those adaptations for reptiles again. Okay? Has a backbone, that's right. Even though it's very, very flexible, it still has a backbone. All right? It has an outer covering made of scales. And yes, he sheds those scales, right, in one long shed. Okay? He is what we call ectothermic or cold-blooded. He relies on an outside source to keep him warm. He has no inside source of heat like you and I do. We have a heart and blood that keeps us warm. He doesn't have that. So I have to keep him warm with a heat lamp, or he has to bask in the sun. Okay? He won't lay eggs because he's a male, but the female does lay eggs, and they have lungs and are able to breathe. Okay? So if you can look at him, right, you can see his nostrils up front, right there. Right, there are his nostrils, because we know that he doesn't smell with his nostrils. He smells, he's a reptile, he smells with his, that's right, his tongue. And his tongue is forked. Remember, forked? He smells left with his left fork and right with his right fork. So he gathers up the scent molecules in the air on his tongue, brings them into an organ in his mouth called the Jacobson's organ. And he then sends that bunch of scent molecules to the brain, and they interpret that as a smell. Now, let's take a close-up of Lando's eyes. Do you see how his pupils go up and down? Go up and down like that, right? All right, you can tell a nocturnal reptile by the vertical pupils. Okay? So we can tell right here that he is nocturnal. Right, remember nocturnal, do you remember what that meant? Nocturnal was the opposite of diurnal. Diurnal was you're busy, you do your things during the day, hunt, feed, visit friends. Nighttime is nocturnal. All right, he's busy during the night. Nocturnal animals generally do not have good eyesight because, well, there's not a lot of light out there for them to use. So they rely on other senses, right, like his sense of smell. Okay? Now, he'll live in captivity 20 to 30 years. In the wild, Lando will live maybe 3 to 5. Okay? Yep, he might get eaten by a larger snake, a bird of prey, a large reptile. Okay? but for now he's safe with us. Now what are we going to feed him? Well, he is, like we said, a carnivore. He eats small birds. We're not going to do that. He also eats rats and mice. He eats rodents. So what we're going to do is we have a frozen, that we thawed out, mouse. Okay, and what we're going to do is, since these animals don't waste their time on anything that's not moving, we're going to dangle it above him, all right, to make him think that it is alive. Now I'll never feed Lando in his tank, because I don't ever want him to get used to me reaching in there and him thinking that, uh-oh, it's food time. I want him to know that when I reach in there, I'm gonna play with him. I'm gonna hang out with him. Okay, so I feed him outside his tank, all right, and I'm gonna feed him in this little container. All right, you ready, Lando? Everybody's waiting for this. Pythons are constrictor type snakes. They constrict, they squeeze their prey so that they can no longer breathe. They have fangs, but the fangs are only to hold the prey. The ball python is non-venomous, which means it doesn't have venom in the fangs to kill or debilitate the prey. So this is the end of our safari, everyone. Remember to study your words. Adaptation, like scales or forked tongue, right? Something that an organism has, okay? Or something that it does to help it survive its environment. Remember the 3 types of feeders. Omnivore eats, that's right, plant parts and flesh. Herbivore eats plant parts. And a carnivore eats only flesh. Remember our nocturnal and diurnal. Okay, nocturnal means night. Diurnal means does everything during the day, like you. Okay, regenerate. You grow back a lost body part. What body part? Well, if you're a reptile, it would be a tail. If you're a human, it would be maybe your skin or your liver. Okay, molting. Well, something that our bugs do. Or anything with an exoskeleton, a skeleton on the outside, when it grows, it molts. Okay? You have an endoskeleton. Now, so study your words, because we're going to be using them again in the safari next time. I want to thank my daughter Kristen. She's a first responder. She's an EMT and a mental health counselor. Say hi, Kristen.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. Study your words.
Okay, so we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Say bye. Say bye. Oh, Brasilia wanted to say bye, but she's upstairs taking a bath. Yeah, she takes a bath. If she was in the wild, she'd jump into the lake or into the pond or into the water. So she's doing that, but she'll catch you next time. Bye.